Good Friday morning. I'm Brendan here with Trevor. I was wondering if we were going to get one wave or two waves.
You should have seen what I was just doing. I was dancing.
Well, we didn't get it on camera,
No,
Trev.
we didn't get it on
purpose,
camera.
or you don't want to reenact it?
Well, I was just doing the spinorama. You ever heard the spinorama where you just kind of drop your shoulders and do a quick little turnaround like that? I do that a lot. Keeps me active.
Hey, whatever. It keeps you focused, keeps your head in the game. Because you, sir, have had a very busy week, and it's been a tough week for a lot of people in northern Michigan.
It certainly has. I saw an email this morning. There's still people without power.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
A lot. There's still thousands.
Yep.
And that was just in the counties that were being reported to us, which isn't all of them, by the way. But we've been getting constant emails about power outages in like Charlevoix and Emmett counties and Antrim counties. I think the one we got this morning was there's still like over 3,000 in Charlevoix alone without power still.
I believe it.
So this has gone on far longer than I think most people anticipated, and I think rightfully a lot of people are probably still upset about it. But hey, when you get a significant ice storm like this, a once-in-a-lifetime ice storm, long-lasting power outages like this can happen. But today will be a good day for lots of our crews to get outside and to work on things. Yesterday was a good day if you subtract the wind, but it was very windy yesterday.
It was, yeah.
Today is basically a carbon copy of yesterday, but you just don't have the wind. It's like you just take all the good parts and remove the one bad part about yesterday, and that's what today is.
I forgot to suggest yesterday, Trevor, to use the trash can forecast. And you know what?
You know, that would have been a good idea. I actually forgot we had that.
And the reason I remembered, this was as I was driving to the store yesterday, but I was driving, and a trash can, I think, was like inches away from slamming into my car. And I looked in the rear view, I'm like, oh, shoot, that was really close.
That would have been nice to know. Go on, Trevor.
Well, I mean, you did tell us it was going to be windy, but we have that trash can forecast.
No, that's a good point.
I was at some visit, Trevor, and somebody specifically came up and said, we love the trash can forecast. I go, okay. I said, I'll pass that along.
Yeah,
Thanks
I'll
for
keep
the
that
feedback.
in mind. Sometimes I forget, like I know we have these lifestyle graphics, but like sometimes you have them like the most obscure things that I just completely forget about. Like we have a dog walking forecast that I haven't used in ages.
Yeah.
I keep forgetting about it. Today would have been a good day to use it. And yesterday would have likewise been a good day to do the trash can forecast. I think overall I just got to get better at the lifestyle graphics. People love those things, and I just I don't always show them. A lot of times I kind of forget I just kind of forget they exist.
Something they can't get on their apps. At least I don't know of an app that gives you a dog walking forecast.
No.
Or a trash can forecast.
I think the one that I really like that I used to use a lot was the running forecast. It shows the hour by hour running forecast, like running conditions if you want to go outside and run. I've used that one numerous times on the weekend.
And the bus stop forecast.
Yep, bus stop forecast is good for the one. I use that one sometimes on Sunday.
Like
obviously,
Sunday
don't use it on. Obviously, I don't use it on Saturday.
That makes sense. Yeah.
But sometimes I use it on Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like to use it on. I really like to use the bus stop forecast on days where the weather over the course of one day will be drastically different. Where it's like, hey, it's nice and calm and sunny in the morning, but there's going to be rain in the evening or in the later afternoon. Bus stop forecast is really good for that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
We
are already getting. We're talking power outages. Joel's talking about that. We're getting guesses for the weather quiz. Let us know where you're watching from and give us your weather report. But if you have any questions for Trevor or for me, we'll be sure to answer those here in a bit once he goes through his forecast.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll go ahead and address the weather quiz real quick as usual before we get to the forecast. And we need to save at least like a minute or two extra at the end so I can explain not only this one, but also the answer to a weather quiz we had yesterday that we were talking about. Remember we said, for those who were here yesterday, remember we said we were going to research the answer to our weather quiz yesterday. I have the answer. I did some research into it, and so I know for a fact the answer to yesterday's question that we were talking about with the whole Alice situation, what was going on there. There was 2 Alices in 1 year, and now I know the reason why. Okay. And then there was also something else that I wanted to clear up that I got wrong, and I want to clarify because shame on me. There was a portion in the Facebook Live yesterday where I gave out false information, and I want to fix that too.
Okay.
But otherwise, we'll get into the one we have today, and since I figured we'd be talking about hurricanes anyways, I would just throw another hurricane question in there.
Okay.
Which of these years had the most number of retired hurricanes? And I picked from a tricky selection because all 3 of these years were very destructive years for hurricanes. They were all wide. They were all very high in numbers. 2020 had the famous Ian happened in... No. Was it Ian? No, I don't think Ian was 2022. There was a different one that was very famous in 2020. I'm already forgetting what it was. 2005 was famous for a number of hurricanes, actually. And then 2017, the same. Like all three of these years were very active hurricane years.
2005 was Katrina.
2005 was Katrina. You're right.
Yeah,
that was one of the hurricanes. And it's funny because Katrina was so popular, and by economics, the numbers-wise, it was the costliest tornado even today, especially if you account for inflation.
The hurricane.
Especially if you account for inflation, is by far the costliest hurricane in history. And it's not close, by the way. I've actually gone back and looked at the numbers. It's the most costliest by a long shot. The second place one is not even really close.
Okay.
But anyhow, that that Hurricane Katrina was so popular that it kind of oversells, or like it overshadows the other hurricanes that were here, because there were more popular hurricanes that, not more popular, but there were other very destructive, powerful hurricanes that happened in that same year. Same thing with 2017, same thing with 2020. There's like one hurricane that kind of dominates the others, but overall it was a very active year. So we'll get into that answer later.
Yep.
I kind of over-elaborate. I spent like way too much time explaining that. We'll get into the forecast now. Today's going to be it's a very simple day. Depending on what kind of meteorologist you are, you either really like today or you really don't like it. You like it because it's easy. You like it because it's easy, or you don't like it because it's boring. To me, I'm a little bit of both. I like it when things are active, but I also like it when sometimes you get a little bit of an easier day, especially after a long stretch like I've been in the past week and a half with very, very active weather and very, very destructive weather with widespread power outages. It's nice to get an easier day once in a while. And so that's what today is. We'll start with radar as per what I usually do. I really like to start with radar. It's one of my favorite, like, easy to cut into weather to look into the region. We had some clouds overnight in the eastern upper and the Straits region, which actually is exactly why we had warmer temperatures in the eastern upper. I actually had somebody email me to explain why there were warmer temperatures in the eastern upper, and that's exactly it. There was cloud cover, lots of clouds, mostly cloudy conditions over the eastern upper and the Straits. In the northern lower, there was no clouds. And so on a night like tonight, where you had the wind come down, it was very breezy yesterday, but overnight it came down dramatically, and this morning it's calm. You get no winds and you remove all the cloud cover. The area that has less cloud cover is always going to get colder in terms of temperature. So by the mid-morning, when I was looking at this, it was like 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, almost every area in the northern lower was in the 20s. The eastern upper was still in the mid-30s because they, despite being way more north, and they're usually way colder, they had cloud cover there. The northern lower did not. That cloud cover is almost entirely dissipated now, and it's mostly sunny skies all around the region, and will stay that way for the remainder of the morning. We'll take a look at the afternoon. For the remainder of the morning, as I mentioned, mostly clear skies. Now, we do have another system. I actually want to go back to radar because I jumped the gun a little too early. There's a system down south, mostly impacting the greater Ohio Valley area down towards Kentucky right now, and expanding over towards the Greater Plains region, over towards Oklahoma and northern Texas. This entire system is going to continue to move slightly northward over the course of today, and you can see as it does begin to move northward, you can start to see clouds moving northward into our region in southern Michigan right now. So over the next like 5, 6 hours, we'll begin to see some of those high overhead clouds impact the region, and by the evening, closer to sunset, almost every region should be mostly cloudy as a result of this system. And so now we'll get into showing that on Stormcast. There's the look in the evening around 5 o'clock, mostly cloudy conditions. I've been talking about this. There is a chance, although I think it's very low, but there is a chance we could get a tad bit of rain in some of our southern counties in the evening tonight before the sun fully goes down. But I think for the most part, the rain from this system won't really get here until very late tonight, and then overnight through, like, it'll last almost all night, scattered rain showers, and then particularly tomorrow morning, where we'll have, I think the most active bit of this rain will be right in the morning tomorrow morning. So 7 o'clock in the morning, or sometime very close to that, is when we're going to get the majority of our rain from this system. We'll call it scattered rain showers, potentially moderate, but I think most of this will be light in the morning tomorrow. And then by late morning and into the afternoon, we'll see clearing conditions and the chance for a few passing snow or even mixed showers into the eastern upper and Straits region in the afternoon. But then beyond that, clearing skies on the end of the day towards Sunday. And then Sunday looks like a cooler day. At the end of Saturday, with this passing system, we're going to swap our wind to once again out of the north and northwest, more like the northwest. That'll cool our temperatures down for Sunday Sunday looks to be a mix of sun and clouds. It really depends on where you are. But I think for the most part, we'll be anywhere from partly to mostly cloudy. I think some spots, especially near the Straits and north, will be a lot more sunny on Sunday. The further south you are, I think you have a higher chance to run into more cloud cover. But now I have run out of time on that model. I'm going to use the Euro model now to show beyond that forecast. So we'll go back to Sunday. Again, a mix of sun and clouds, more clouds moving into the region, or more sunshine moving into the region in the later morning, early afternoon. And then we'll get another brief period, another brief system moving through the region. And then here's where we get into the part of the forecast that nobody wants to hear or talk about, but it's what looks like is going to happen. Late Sunday, another system drops through, and we're going to get some scattered snow showers, it looks like, in parts of Sunday night through Monday morning and maybe even Monday afternoon. The majority of Monday looks like we'll have at least some chances for snow showers. We'll call them scattered for now, but we'll be keeping an eye on it. And Monday and Tuesday both look like temperatures will be way below the average. Most people will be at or below freezing, especially on Tuesday, where the high temperatures in a lot of areas on Tuesday look like they're going to be right around freezing. And it's just like I know nobody wants to hear that, but that's what we're looking at. And then later in the week, Thursday into Friday, we'll begin to warm up again, and it looks like we'll get back into the 40s and maybe even 50s by around Thursday or Friday of next week. So looks like we have another cold spell to go through, maybe a few inches of snow possible on that system moving through the region on Monday, and partially Tuesday is what looks like we can get a few isolated snow showers on Tuesday with that same system. Otherwise, conditions look quiet. It doesn't look like there's anything really much to talk about there. There's certainly no super significant weather to talk about like we had for the past 7 days with the ice storm moving through the region and then the messy weather day on Wednesday. It doesn't look like we'll have anything like that in the long-term forecast. We'll return back to at least some semblance of normalcy here in northern Michigan. And we'll end up here with the 7-day forecast. So once again, looks like conditions will cool down through the second half of the weekend, especially on Sunday, going into Monday. Cooler temperatures right around freezing, maybe a little below. Some spots will be in the 20s and low 30s, and especially in the eastern upper on Monday and Tuesday. And then we'll begin to warm up again. Hopefully this will be our last stretch of snow, but obviously, again, I can't guarantee anything. In northern Michigan, I say this all the time, but in northern Michigan, we can get snow as late as early May. So as long as we are still in April, we are not done with snow until Mother Nature says so. And Mother Nature does not say so this week. And so we once again this year, a little bit more exaggerative this year than most other years, but you know, we get fooled by early spring or fake spring as we like to call it, where there was 2 weekends or maybe even 3 weekends ago at this point. I've already lost track of time where we got into the 60s and 70s and everyone was jumping at hooray, hooray, spring's finally here after the ridiculous winter that we had with all the snow, literally record-breaking snow in Gaylord. Yeah. Everybody was like, finally, spring is here. And the Mother Witch was like, nope, how about another big snowstorm and a big ice storm on top of that? Yeah. Fake spring, second winter. It's the song that never ends.
That's the Trevor we know and love.
Every year, it's the same thing. We always get fooled by the fake spring every single year.
Gotcha.
At this point, now we're getting into what I would consider abnormal, which is this winter that just doesn't want to go. I will stress, I've said a couple of times, the temperatures on Monday and Tuesday are far below the average. We should not be at around freezing in early April anymore. That's very far below the average. We should be in the 40s and like low 50s by this point. So, yeah, nobody wants to see that, but that's what's going to happen.
I'm going to go a little out of order, Trevor.
Okay.
Because Mama Roubadeaux is watching.
Oh.
Hi, Kelly. Saying good morning, Brendan, Trevor, and all the Up North Live crew and staff. Happy Friday. May all of you have a fabulous day. I actually get to watch this morning since I didn't have to open at the restaurant today.
Yeah, she's been working at her job. She's been working every morning, so she hasn't been able to stop by until today.
Yeah. I meant to ask you earlier, Trevor. I'm like, where are your parents?
Normally she's almost always the one who stops by, but she just hasn't been able to do it this week. Yeah. It sounds like, I was just talking to her over the phone about this earlier via text, and it sounds like her schedule now is going to be more normally mornings. When she started, she worked in the evenings more, like afternoon evenings more regularly. But now it looks like she's almost entirely in the morning.
Okay.
But then she closes on Sunday for some reason. Whatever.
Is she a morning person?
To be honest, I don't really know. If she's like me, then probably yes.
Okay.
I've always been a little bit more of a morning person.
Okay.
Which makes it easier to do this show.
Oh,
I
for
like
sure.
I like the mornings more than the evenings. I've always been, especially in my like. I don't want to make it sound like I'm getting old because I'm not. I'm still in my. Well, I guess at this point I'm getting closer to my mid-20s than low 20s, but whatever.
Getting up there.
I'm still very young, but
Yes,
I
you
already
are.
feel like I'm getting old because I go to sleep way earlier than I used to. In high school and in college, it was not at all uncommon for me to go to sleep until like midnight or later. And now, if I have made it to midnight without falling asleep, it's either because one, I'm working, or two, I just can't fall asleep. And by that point, I'm completely exhausted. I wake up normally, if I'm not working the morning shift, I wake up normally at 6:30 in the morning or earlier every day now.
Oh, okay.
And I struggle, like my mom, I struggle with like partial insomnia where I either can't get to sleep or I can't stay asleep. And I never get 8 hours of sleep anymore. I can't remember the last time it happened.
Oh, really?
Yes. But the good news with that is that it's gotten normal and I can very clearly and easily function on
good.
6 hours of sleep.
Okay.
Without help. Still no caffeine.
Yep.
I refuse to drink caffeine. I think you do not need it. Some people may need it, but you know, whatever. I'm not going to judge anybody for that, but I do
See
not
that,
need
Paul? Because you said lay off the energy drinks, Trevor. No coffee either. There's no caffeine here.
There's no caffeine.
This is all natural.
No caffeine.
Yeah.
I never drink anything with caffeine.
Yeah. We weren't done with your mom's comment. She's saying, my prayers for everyone affected by the ice storm this week. May the work crews be able to restore electricity for everyone and clear pathways. Have a wonderfully joyous weekend. Thank you, Kelly. And Trevor, well, oh, I think I missed one from your mom. There was another one. Oh, and your mom says, hi, my husband says I'm an any time of day person.
Any time of day?
Kind of,
I guess
wherever
that
she's
checks out.
needed. She's a mom. I know a lot of moms, a lot of dads just kind of have to be a morning, night person, afternoon person, have to be on all the time to raise the kids.
Right.
I imagine. I don't have kids, but that's what I hear. And then your mom says, Trevor is so my apple. Do you know what that means, my
Yes,
apple?
it means I take after her a lot more than I do my dad.
Like the apple doesn't fall far from the tree?
Yes,
That,
and
that thing? Okay.
she's been saying that almost my entire life. It seems like I've heard her say that since I was back in like at least high school.
Oh, okay.
She's been saying that.
So Susie Q has a tip for you, Trevor. Maybe you can try it. 1 tablespoon maybe of peanut butter and almond milk before bed. It works, she says.
That's it. I used to do. I'm forgetting what it's called, but that like over-the-counter medicine that people
Melatonin?
take. Yes, I used to try melatonin for a while, and for like the first, I started taking that back in college when I was starting to have problems with sleeping.
Yeah.
And it worked for like half a year, and then apparently, like most substances, the human body eventually draws like either this like not immunity, but I guess your body just kind of gets used to it, or something like that. I have no idea how medicine works. Don't quote me. But eventually, the melatonin just kind of stopped working, and then I was back to square one. And at that point, I was like, all right, no more melatonin because I'm just wasting my money on something that's not working.
Yeah,
so, at that point, I had kind of just accepted it. I was like, yeah, whatever. I'll get used to it.
We have other comments to get to. We will say, well, hi again to Paul. He is watching from Rogers City. Gib is saying hello. He's in the back pushing buttons and pushing people's buttons, too. No, I'm kidding. No, he's been kind of behaving today a little bit. Gail said, good morning. It's 29 and sunny in Kingsley. Have a good Friday and a weekend. Thank you, Gail. Up North Live, whoever that is. Nah, it's the other Trevor in the Content Center saying, happy Friday, everyone. Jackie is saying, good morning, guys. It's 25 at my house in Kalkaska. The sun's out, and it's Friday. She wants everybody to have a good weekend. Paula saying, good morning from Boyne Falls, where it's a frosty, sunny 32 degrees. Joel's saying good morning from the Pleasanton Patriots Pub. 28 degrees and sun. Finally got through to my friend in Alanson. He's coming down here to stay with me. His power is not going to be on till late next week.
late next week?
Whoa.
Oh my goodness.
So that's going to be 2 weeks
Remember that
without
shot
power?
we did with that one person that said they were hoping to be back by like this Tuesday or Wednesday?
Yeah,
Oh man.
Kind of depends on, I guess, where you are exactly.
I guess so. But
Oof.
that's crazy.
Robert said, good morning from Indian River, day 6, snow power, but phone's working now. Thanks for chiming in, Robert, and hope you're doing well. We have Mark watching in Zephyr Hills, Florida. It's 71, going to be 91 for the high. Have a great day and weekend. Gail's guessing 2005 for the weather quiz. My mom is with us. Hey, Mom. She's saying happy Friday, Facebook friends. No rain today, and sun's trying to pop out. Have a good weekend, everybody. Benji got a haircut yesterday.
Did he?
He looks extra cute, yeah. Benji the dog, by the way. Joel is guessing 2005, so is Jackie. Joel said more than 200 power poles down between Gaylord and Alanson. It's definitely a lot of work ahead for power crews. Yeah, I was chatting with my friend who runs the Meijer in Traverse City, and he said snack food, especially like potato chips, been flying off the shelves. Let's say power crews are staying in Traverse City, which I think they are. Some power crews staying in Traverse City with the power, then they go over to affected areas. They stop at Meijer or any other store, and they need to grab something that's portable, doesn't need to be heated up. Potato chips and other snacks apparently are the go-to.
Yep.
Mark's guessing 2020. Susie Q is saying good morning. 87 today in Inglewood, Florida. Sitting by the pool, we always have a nice ocean breeze. I'm off to go on a bike ride. Friends are coming to stay with us. And so have fun with them, Susie Q. Thank you for watching, per usual. And she's saying, praying for all Northern Michigan families with what they are experiencing. And we had a story on this morning, Susie Q, about Frederick and specifically Crawford County and the restoration efforts there. So I thought of you. And she's thinking 2005 for the weather quiz. Mark's watching again from Fremont, Indiana, 42 degrees, TGIF. Paula, 2017 with a question mark. Gibb also saying TGIF. Our friend and former coworker, Nicole Long.
Oh, hello,
is
Nicole.
With us. She used to stand right here.
She did.
And do weekends with you.
She did
Trevor.
the weekends. I did the weekends with her for, I think, just about a year. I think I was like, no, we were either like very close to or just past my 1-year anniversary when she left. I can't remember exactly when it was that she left, but it was pretty close to that.
Yeah. And I got to hear her voice on Saturday, so it was nice to chat with her for a bit. And she's saying, I second that, Gib, TGIF. Remember that, Nicole? Trevor's dancing. I'm sure you do. And Darlene saying, go Detroit Tigers and Detroit Red Wings. It's 40 in Livonia. We want all this cold and crazy weather to go away. Yes, the home opener in downtown Detroit today. Madison was down there for 3 live reports.
Yep, not 3 rather
Normally
than
we
2.
get 2.
We got the one up today.
We got
I second
3 today.
I second the Go Red Wings. Although it doesn't look like they're gonna do it this year. The Red Wings, oh man, they make me sad. They really do. They fooled us. They really made us think that they were gonna make the playoffs, and then they plummeted at the end of the season, just like they did last year. Sad.
Yeah, Susie Q wants to know, Trevor, did you hear about the hockey teams that had so many penalties? The Capitals and Hurricanes, I believe, more than 150 penalties?
Capitals and Hurricanes, I didn't see that entire game, but I was watching portions of it. I tuned in after Alex Ovechkin scored because at first they were getting absolutely blown out. They were losing 4-0, I think, at the end of the second period. And I was like, all right, whatever, the Canes are going to win this game. But that game was bloody. It was brutal. Maybe not bloody. That's probably an excessive word to use. But it was a very feisty game. And I was just like, I was smiling ear to ear. I was like, this is good. This is a potential Eastern Conference final matchup between these two teams. This is what it could look like. Just an absolute war between two very, very good teams. And I think it's very possible that those could... Well, no, actually... Scratch that. It's not possible those two teams could be in the East Conference Final because they're in the same division, which means that at the very least they'll end up having to play each other in either the first or second round. Probably the second round because the Capitals currently hold the top spot in that division, which means that they would play a wild card spot and then face the Hurricanes in the second round. So potentially Eastern Conference semifinals, second round matchup between those two teams. That's going to be, if that comes true, that's going to be such a good round to watch. That's going to be such a good playoff round.
We know you'll be watching, Trevor.
Yes, I will.
Gail's talking weather here, saying my brother in Little Rock past 2 days had 9 tornadoes and 15 inches of rain. Luckily, he's safe. Thank you, Gail, for passing it along. More rain for them for the next 3 days.
Yeah, they're right in that period
Yikes.
where they're right along that line of rain that I showed earlier on radar. Yeah, they've been just getting pelted, and they were very near a rare high risk in a region that doesn't normally have a high risk. High risk usually happen in Dixie Alley, which for those who don't know, that's a meteorology term we use to describe the far southeast, which is like parts of Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, up towards parts of Tennessee. In that general, that's Dixie Alley. Then Tornado Alley is the normal like Oklahoma, Kansas, northern Texas regions, right? And even parts of Iowa. There's talk that Iowa is going to get included in parts of Tornado Alley, although it hasn't happened yet.
Oh.
The area that had a high risk a few days ago with these really strong storms was like northern Tennessee, Kentucky, and southern Illinois.
It was like Memphis
That is a
area,
very weird area to have a high risk, especially whenever you're that close to the mountains like that. Like, that's weird to have a high risk there. But man, I was watching that. Oh boy, I tuned in overnight. It was happening very late overnight earlier this week. Obviously, I was filling in for the morning shift, so I didn't. I was trying to get some sleep, but I briefly woke up and checked on it. I think I saw like 15 tornado warnings at the same time, like all at the same time at one point. It was crazy.
So glad your brother is safe, Gail. We have Susan saying, hi again, it's sunny and 30 in Kalkaska. Joel said a few years ago, blessings of the bike got snowed out. Wally is watching from North Fort Myers, Florida. I'm not coming back to Michigan until the end of April. It's been in the 90s here in North Fort Myers. Susan's guessing 2005. Wally's going with 2017. Susie Q saying, Trevor really gets into his forecast. That's awesome. Alice guessing 2017. Christine watching from Akiak. Good to hear from Christine again. Still no power and phone service. Had to go to Onaway for food and phone service. Lots of damage here. Appreciate you passing along, Christine. Hope the power gets back very quickly. Paul still doesn't have power. Susan said a friend in Tennessee got hit by a tornado, but she is okay, but lost everything. Oh, gosh, that's heartbreaking.
That's really tough to hear.
Paul hoping the power gets back today. Gosh, yeah, just so much destruction, and I'm sorry to hear that you've been personally affected, Susan. At least that.
Not to take anything away from us, because obviously we're going through it, but it's a reminder, like, we're also not the only ones going through it, right? Like,
yeah,
we had our own severe weather, but so did many areas in the central part of the United States. Had their, or at least it's not central, more like eastern central United States, had their own problems to deal with.
Yeah.
And there are now thousands probably without homes down there
Yeah.
due to tornadoes passing through. So just a reminder of like this time of year, this is why we do, like, this is why Severe Weather Awareness Week is a thing. It's because of stuff like this.
Yeah. From destruction to more destruction, Trevor, I think it's time to reveal the answer.
Yes, it is, and I have some other information to unveil with that. So the correct answer here is 2005. The hurricanes that were retired that year were Dennis, Katrina that we talked about, Rita, Stan, and Wilma. The other ones that were very destructive that happened in that same year that a lot of times don't get talked about were Rita and Wilma. A lot of people, like, when you think back, probably think like, oh yeah, I do remember those, but it's like, you forget that those happened in the same year because Katrina is the one that everybody remembers.
Yeah.
And the other 2 years, I did mention that the other 2 years were also very destructive years, and I remembered some of the hurricanes that happened. So you remember back in 2017. 2017 is when we had Harvey, if you remember that hurricane. That was mainly the Galveston area and like Houston area that got massive flooding from a hurricane. And then there was also Irma and Maria that happened in 2017. So that was 2017. And then 2020 was not Ian. Ian was 2022. I was right about Ian being 2022. 2020 was when we had Laura, Ada, and Iota, which were also all very destructive hurricanes, Laura being the most of those. And so all the names that I just listed are all now retired hurricane names. None of them will ever be used again, including the 5 on the answer to the screen there. And then to get into now the weather quiz research answer yesterday, Gib and I briefly talked about this at the end of yesterday off camera and off screen when we were done with the live, that the reason why that hurricane at the end of the year was named Alice is because it was originally thought that the storm had appeared in early January of that next year, putting it into the 1955 cycle. But it was found that the tropical depression actually formed the year prior in 2024. And so it was given the name Alice because they thought that it was a new cycle year. And then it turned out that it wasn't. And they due to like reasons with the naming, they can't change the name, I guess. And also, again, the naming system is very different now because there was an Alice used in 1954, and then there was another one used the next year that ended up being another one that was also in 1954.
Yeah.
That never happens anymore. You cannot use, even if the name is not retired, you cannot use the same name on back-to-back years anymore. That doesn't happen.
Yeah.
There is a 9-year rotation. So let's say if there is another Alice, because there still hasn't been a retired Alice. That name has not been retired. If you get a hurricane or a tropical depression, Alice, you cannot use that name again until 9 years later, assuming it isn't retired, of course.
Okay.
And then the other thing that I mentioned that I was incorrect about, I gave out false information yesterday, and I want to correct myself. I had said that the NOAA gives out names from A all the way down to Z, and then they restart. It used to be that they restarted with Greek alphabets, but now they just have a separate name of list that isn't Greek alphabets. It's just another secondary name list. But I remembered yesterday that that's not true. There are letters that they don't use because there aren't enough names, and those letters are Q, U, V, X, Y, and Z.
Ah, okay.
Those letters they do not use for hurricane names. They skip over those 6 letters because there's not enough names for those, especially like X and Q. There's not, and also U and V. There's not enough names that they can give out for those letters, so they skip over all those letters. So it's A through Z minus those 6 letters. Obviously, they don't do Z, they don't do Y, they don't do X, V, U, or Q. They skip those letters, but they do use all the other letters. So basically, they go all the way down to W. W would be the last one.
Okay.
And if they go through a W, then they restart with a different naming list that same year if you go through all those names. I wanted to clarify that because I gave out false information yesterday. Shame on me.
Thanks for the clarification.
Anyway, that just about does it. Here's our standings. Brendan, 1 for 5 this week. I broke Gib and Sarah's streak. They were perfect 4 for 4 yesterday. They were 4 for 5 today. And our Facebook viewer, I just realized that is actually not accurate. The Facebook viewer should be 2 for 5, not 1 for 5, because our Facebook viewer, Susan, this morning guessed A, which was 2005, which was correct. And the other one to get it right was, I'm pretty sure it was Mark on Wednesday who got the answer correct. I'd have to look back, and I don't actually remember who it was. But I remember there was somebody else that got one correct. I didn't notice that earlier in the show, so that's another thing I should have kept an eye on, and I didn't. But the Facebook viewers should be 2 for 5, not 1 for 5, because Susan got it right this morning. Susan Lash Sims.
Good deal.
Common viewer that we get almost every morning.
Yeah. We will also talk about Monday here. In fact, that's what I have to do next, is to put a story together for Monday. But we have the Sara Lee Cares event preview coming up Monday morning. The event is happening not tomorrow, but a week from tomorrow in Traverse City. That's where there's going to be an Easter egg hunt. It's free family fun. You get to meet some hometown heroes. You get to see demonstrations with, I think, a motorcycle team, drones, rappelling off of an apparatus. It's going to be quite the scene. It's 3rd annual. Oh, and you get to tour the Sara Lee Bakery. And so it's that company's way to give back to the community. The Coast Guard's going to be involved. So anyway, all that is coming up tomorrow. Oh, excuse me. We're not going to be here tomorrow. Trevor will be. We don't have the morning show, though. Monday morning, starting probably in our 5 a.m. hour, but we're going to be here. Trevor's going to be with me from 4:30 to 7. Hopefully you can join us then. And we hope you have a great weekend. Gib, any comments for our friends? Have a great weekend, he says. Oh, and Jackie wants to say there was a tornado in 1953 in the Beecher District by Flint. More than 100 deaths.
Wow, really?
Goodness gracious.
I haven't even heard of that tornado. Oh, jeez.
So we appreciate you watching today and every day. Trevor, any last words as we wrap this up?
I second what Gibb said. Have a good weekend. It should be a relatively good one. Temperature is nice, although they'll be cooling down by Sunday. But overall, good weekend, I would say.
All right. Thanks for your time. We'll see you later.